Ever had one of those mornings where peace turns to chaos in the blink of an eye? I was out in the crisp Colorado air, tightening a loose fence board and soaking in the silence of the pines, when a black Mercedes crawled up my gravel path like a snake on the hunt. Out stepped a woman in heels that could pierce concrete, sunglasses like riot shields, and a clipboard clutched like it was a badge. Two muscle-bound men flanked her. Definitely not your typical HOA welcome committee. She strode forward and barked, "You've got 30 minutes to vacate." No greeting, no explanation, just a command like I was some trespasser on my own land. And all because my log cabin didn't fit her vision of a refined neighborhood. That woman was Lana Prescott, president of the Pinewood Estates Homeowners Association. Her tone carried the weight of a judge passing sentence. She claimed my cabin was hurting local property values. I'd been living there for 3 years. My grandfather built the place in '87, and after serving in the military, it was the only place that ever truly felt like home. So no, I wasn't about to let some power-drunk bureaucrat tell me to pack my bags. She tossed around phrases like community standards and visual harmony, while the neighbors peeked out from behind their curtains like it was a live soap opera. A few had their phones out, recording every second. I stood my ground, calm and polite. "Ma'am, my home's not within your HOA boundaries. Always has been outside it." But she just chuckled like she knew something I didn't. "Documents are just formalities. The community's united on this. You need to go." That's when she really crossed a line. Her bodyguards stood in front of my door, as if I'd try to make a run for it. Lucky for me, I always carry a copy of the property deed. Old habit, be ready for anything. I showed it to her, pointed to the boundary lines, explained how this land never fell under HOA jurisdiction. Still, she wasn't fazed. "Legal details won't stop progress. The people here are tired of your aesthetic." She gestured to my cabin like it was a trash heap, not a family-built home. "You're dragging down the whole community's equity." I noticed then that my security cameras were catching all of this. Lana noticed too. For a moment, her confident smirk faltered. Then she leaned in and muttered, "We have ways of getting results, with or without your consent." And with that, she turned on her heels, tossed out a final threat, "You're out of your depth," and climbed back into her SUV. I just stood there thinking, she has no clue who she just challenged. The next morning, my front door was plastered with bogus violation notices. Everything from unpermitted fence height to unauthorized roof color. I laughed. If she wanted to drown me in paperwork, fine. I started taping each citation inside my living room. My own little wall of shame. Then the county started sniffing around. My old friend Doug Keller, who now works in building inspection, showed up looking like he was dodging spies. "You've been flagged," he said. 17 formal complaints in a single day. All from Pinewood Estates. The HOAs stirring the pot big time. Suddenly I was being hit from all sides: health department, fire code inspectors, zoning officers. Every office seemed to have a new reason to hassle me. It was obvious someone was pulling strings, and that someone wore high heels and a name badge. Then came the neighbors, Lana's new recruits. One woman stood just over the property line filming my house, narrating like a crime reporter. Hazards, code violations, eyesores. Her video went straight to Lana, who was clearly building a file thick enough to crush a desk. But I wasn't going to roll over. If she wanted a paper war, I'd bring fireproof boots and a flamethrower. So I started digging into the HOA's own records, permits, bylaws, anything I could legally request. If Lana thought I was just some ex-military guy with a hammer and a cabin, she was about to learn that I also know how to run recon. And this time, I wasn't just defending my land. I was going to take back control of the story and hit her where it hurt. Some things don't hit you until the pieces fall into place. I started digging public records, property transfers, even news archives, and a clear pattern started to emerge. This wasn't Lana's first rodeo. 3 other edge-of-neighborhood homes had mysteriously sold at below-market prices after safety concerns, and HOA fines mysteriously stacked up. Each of those stories began right after Lana moved in. Turns out, Lana wasn't just a concerned neighbor. She was a real estate agent, specializing in high-end flips, and her concern had a price tag. And get this, she didn't even own that pristine mansion of hers. It was leased from a holding company, Mountain Vista Development LLC. So this whole crusade against me, it wasn't about community standards at all. It was about pushing me off my land to make way for some luxury resort scheme. The pressure started to mount. Daily fines hitting $500, utility companies getting mysterious complaints, and my friend Doug quietly warning me that she was gunning for an emergency condemnation order. He looked nervous, said she had friends higher up the food chain and I should watch my back. And then the real twist hit. A woman I'd never met called me out of the blue, said her family had been forced out last spring. Same methods. Phony violations, fake back taxes. Their house had sold at a loss, and guess who bought it? A shell company tied to Mountain Vista. She'd saved every document, every call, every warning. She told me, "Whatever she's planning for you, it's going to be worse." With her help, I went deeper. It was all part of a bigger pipeline. Harass the holdouts, buy cheap, flip for millions. My land just happened to sit right in the middle of a planned $50 million resort. That explained the trucks circling at night, the floodlights, the intimidation. Doug came by again, said Lana was calling a special HOA session. Word was, a developer had already dropped a multi-million-dollar deposit, but only if my cabin went with the package. That's when I stopped defending and started playing offense. Quietly, I contacted agents all over the county. Families sick of Lana's tactics were eager to sell, and I began scooping up parcels. 6 lots, 2 common areas, and most crucially, the land under the clubhouse and the only access road to 12 houses, including Lana's. By Friday, the emergency meeting was packed. They expected a plea or a surrender. Lana was front and center, practically glowing with anticipation. I stepped up with a stack of documents and said, "As of Wednesday, I legally own the majority of Pinewood Estates, including this building and the road to your homes." The silence that followed was deafening. Lana tried to shout, called for her lawyer. Doug stood up and calmly confirmed every word. I explained the new reality. HOA dissolved. Dues cut from $200 to $50. Rulebook trimmed to 5 pages. From now on, every decision would be voted on. Real community, not ruled by fear. And as for Lana, I handed her a notice. Her lease was under review. She had 30 days to accept the new terms or move out. The irony didn't escape me. She gave me 30 minutes. I gave her 30 days. Right after, I replaced that cold HOA sign with a hand-carved one that read Timberline Haven, where community comes first. A week later, we held our first resident election. Not a shouting match, just neighbors choosing leaders. Everything changed. People who once avoided eye contact started waving, stopping for coffee. Kids filled the streets with laughter. No citations, no threats, just life. Lana? At first, she spiraled, denial, fury, even threats. But slowly, something shifted. She started attending events. She apologized. She helped set up chairs. She calmed a tourist complaining about Wi-Fi. I even caught her helping an elderly couple unload groceries, chatting about trail maps like she'd lived here all her life. Eventually, I asked her to manage the resort. She hesitated, said, "I don't deserve this." I told her, "Then prove that you do." And she has so far. 8 months later, I was sitting on the porch my grandfather built, coffee in hand, watching lanterns flicker in the guest cabins. Laughter echoed from the fire pit. Lana sat beside me. "I gave you half an hour to vanish," she said. "You gave me a future I can be proud of." And just then, a little voice called out, "Daddy, can we stay here forever?" I smiled. "Maybe someday, sweetheart. Maybe someday." Because in the end, this wasn't about revenge. It was about building something so honest, so rooted in fairness, that even your biggest enemy would want to protect it. So I'll ask you this, when the moment comes to stand for something, will you fight to tear it down? Or build something worth fighting for?